I tried being a veggie actually a few years ago,
Okay,
and
yeah, me too.
it was a bit depressing. And I think humans we're the top of the food chain. We are built to eat meat, and it helps you be stronger. And I think strength is everything. And actually, strong body is strong mind, and you need a strong mind to have a strong body. And the two work hand in hand very nicely. One of the biggest challenges that I think a lot of people have is that they're not moving quickly enough. So I'm trying to be quite careful with my words here. There's a saying that I like, and that's, to get into business, you need to learn to say yes. And then to stay in business, you need to learn to say no.
What daily habits keep your body energized while running, multiple companies, and also staying present at home with your family, because you're building a family at the moment as well? Welcome to the Carnivore Entrepreneur Show, where health unlocks true wealth. It's time to reclaim your strength, ignite your energy, and live life with purpose. Master your body, sharpen your mind, and dominate your path. Live life how it's supposed to be lived, on your terms. Let's go. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Carnivore Entrepreneur Show. I am your host, Grant Hutchby, the Carnivore Entrepreneur, and today we have with us Graham. I won't steal his thunder, so I'll pass you over to Graham to introduce himself. So over to you, Graham.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm delighted to be on. So I live in Nottingham, and I've got a few companies, been in business now almost a decade. And some people call me a serial entrepreneur.
That's what this show is for. So, awesome. Thanks for the short introduction. That's great. I'm sure we'll get into a lot more detail as we go forward. But I always start off with one question, and I hope you're prepared for it, Graham, which is the Carnivore Entrepreneur Show is all about meat, muscles, mindset, and money. What qualifies you, Graham, to be a carnivore entrepreneur?
Well, I love all four.
That's a great start.
Yeah. I think, So I tried being a veggie actually a few years ago.
Okay, yeah, me too.
It was a bit depressing. And, I think humans we're the top of the food chain. We are built to eat meat, and it helps you be stronger. And I think strength is everything. And actually, strong body is strong mind, and you need a strong mind to have a strong body. And the two work hand in hand very nicely. And I think it's very difficult to get your money game in order if you're not strong. So you need your head game in order, and a strong body, so that you can be financially successful. It all goes very nicely hand in hand.
Absolutely. And this is what, I'm trying to promote, is that you need to have a healthy body, a healthy mind to have a healthy bank account. And they all sort of work together, because the minute that you start getting some money with a healthy bank account, you can actually use that money to buy yourself stuff to make your body and your mind better. Like, you can afford better quality produce, you can afford better quality equipment to help you, So it all feeds into each other. So definitely on the same page with you on that one. So just to open up then, we've been business partners since the early days, go back a few years, probably since the beginning of our business. Your business is probably only around for a couple of years as well when we met. And you brought me into the property entrepreneur circle, which is great. So I've been a part of that for a couple of years. What's the biggest way your world has changed since, the early short-term rental stage, where, we was getting those short-term rental deals years ago? How has it changed since then?
So, I guess I've gone through a few step changes. Things have really leveled up for me on all fronts. And I've built good teams and essentially increased my value. And that is by increasing the people around me, and it's like a rising tide brings up all boats. Can't remember the exact phrase, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If you're genuinely contributing to other people's success, then I think your success is almost inevitable. So it's one of, that contribution and growth, and having a real growth mindset, around everything you're doing, and being genuinely trying to be of benefit to all stakeholders, whether that's your clients, your colleagues, your family, and of course yourself, and just trying to constantly grow and develop and become better with everyone around you. And so, yeah, that for me has been, from the early days when it was just me and more hustle kind of
Yeah.
vibe. Now more, trying to, I guess, almost be the coach for myself, get me where I want to get to, and get my team where they want to get to, and bringing it all in alignment with where the business wants to go as well. Once you get that calibrated, it's not a set and forget it thing. It's a constant piece of work, and it's always moving.
Yeah.
But when you get that moving in the right direction, that's where everything can come together, and that's how these step changes come, and that's how the level ups really start to happen.
Yeah, and I think I was similar. Like at the beginning, it was like, how much work can I do? Right now, it's how much value can I provide, and how
Mm.
much can I raise my rate? And again, before it was like, how much can I fill my calendar? Whereas now it's like, how much can I clear my calendar? To give me space to think.
Yeah. Actually, this year is probably the first year where I've really done that. I've heard people use the phrase slow down to speed up,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that was alien language to me, quite honestly. But this year, I really have pushed for slowing down to create the space to enable me to really focus on speeding up where it really matters instead of just being busy, and I think that's important.
yeah,
One of the biggest challenges that I think a lot of people have is that they're not moving quickly enough. So I'm trying to be quite careful with my words here. It's not. Do you see what I mean? There's a saying that I like, and that's, to get into business, you need to learn to say yes, and then to stay in business, you need to learn to say no.
it's
And
a good
so
good phrase. I like that.
that, yeah, it's been really powerful for me. And a big challenge that I see a lot of people have is that they're not moving quickly enough. So that's why I'm saying I've got to be careful with how I choose my words. Slowing down is not necessarily what a lot of people need to do, unless you've got quite a few things in motion already. And for me, it's like being able to work on things instead of just always being in it. And you can only do that if you bring other people up with you and bring your team up with you.
Yeah, you've got to start somewhere, and I think that it's just having that focused, intense effort to start off with that gets you
Yeah,
some money coming in, and then you can use that money to be more strategic and add more value, can't you?
absolutely.
Um,
Yes.
cool. So let's reverse time a little bit. Give us like 60-second journey. How did an engineer become the founder of an award-winning short stay agency, and getting a prop tech startup with guest flow? How did you go from engineer to that?
Well, ultimately, I believe it's all thanks to God, but you've got to do your part as well. And I think that starts with mindset. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe it's possible. If you believe it's not possible or you believe it is possible, either way, you are correct.
Absolutely, Henry Ford, right?
So, yeah, if you don't believe in yourself, how on earth is anyone else going to believe in yourself? So start with a small version of success and just go from there and build on success. So, yeah, it started with believing in myself and then taking action, having integrity, becoming a professional. There's a James Caan saying that, perception becomes reality.
Yes.
And I love that, And I was not the business owner, entrepreneur type of guy at all, but I decided to step into that and become that. And initially, it felt like I had that kind of imposter syndrome type thing. This isn't really me, but it's definitely who I wanted to become, and it was also what was necessary for me to believe it is entirely possible. So initially, you kind of create that perception, but then
Yeah.
that becomes your reality. And so I realized to be successful, you've got to be professional in how you approach relationships, client meetings, all of that, and having integrity. And integrity to me means doing what you say you're going to do, no matter what, even if no one else is going to know. And how are you ever going to believe in yourself if you say you're going to do something and then you just
Oh,
don't?
absolutely. The one person that you need to keep your promises to is you.
Yeah.
You know, what made you what made you want to become an entrepreneur and leave your engineering career?
So yeah, that's a good question. My parents were business owners, and I guess I just fell into being an engineer, and I just had always done that since school, and I enjoyed it. It was a good job. It was nice and varied. I was out meeting different people, working in different environments all of the time, which definitely suited my personality type, and it taught me a lot of skills, how to get on with anyone. But also, I'd kind of grown as far as I could within that job, if you like, within that
Yeah,
position. And the next step was management. And I was, you know, you've got to kind of start with the end in mind. And I was looking at the guys that had been in management for 10 years and just thinking, I don't really aspire to be there. So there was no more growth in what I was doing. And growth is so important, and if you're not growing, then where are you going, So I knew that there had to be more. And initially I was exploring just using my skill set and my experience and starting my own business in the space that I'd always been in. But I could see it was quite a mature, saturated market. It was going to take a decade to really become established. And so much of my success was going to be reliant upon others and things outside of my control. So it wasn't really for me. I was trying to become a successful forex trader, and
oh
really
wow,
approaching it in a professional way.
yeah,
And yeah, it's interesting. Someone asked me at the time. They said, "Well, they said something from a book they were reading that you know you're on the right path when you lose track of time doing what
doing
you're doing."
something, yeah,
Yeah, and that certainly wasn't the case with forex trading for me. I was waking up in the middle of the night. I was watching the clock. I was, struggling to really separate my emotions from decision making. But in the kind of months of attempting it, I did learn a lot about that, and actually those skills, applying that in business, was really powerful. And actually, what changed everything for me was going to my first property networking event. I
all
didn't
right,
even
yeah,
know that there was this world of property education or property networking. And I remember saying to my wife at the time, the event said networking in the bar from 9. Before that, there was a couple of talks. I just wanted to go to the talks. And I said, I'll be home just after 9. And then there was the actual getting the opportunity to speak to other people. And by then I had my
yeah,
first buy to let. And for me, it was like buy to lets are just something that you save up for and then you buy one every 5 to 10 years. I was suddenly in a room with people that were looking to buy their first buy to let. And I was able to give them advice. And there was people in the room, 2 years older than me with 20 buy to lets. And I was like, how on earth can you do that? And so I was just buzzing. And actually, I remember the bar kicked everyone out and we were still outside talking for another half an hour, buzzing,
wow,
lost track of time completely. And that's how I knew I had to get into property. And really, serviced accommodation was a lot newer back then. And I guess I could see it was quite what I now call a noisy business model. I don't think I necessarily called it that at the time, but I could see my skill set of being quite process driven, the experience I had of being an engineer, applying that to this noisy business model is something that I could really see the potential. So from that point onwards, I stopped forex trading and I just knew that was going to be my thing. I had to get into business. Now's the time to do it. And I just started taking action, just finding opportunities.
yeah. And I think you've touched on a really, really good point there. And it doesn't really matter whether you're in a career or whether you're an entrepreneur with multiple businesses. The minute that something becomes a job or a chore to you in your head, like you're doing it, for no other reason apart from the money that it's giving you, then that's probably an indication that it's time to do something different. Because I
Mm,
remember the stage when the short-term rental, property sourcing, and all that sort of stuff was, I just would lose myself in it. But
yeah.
over the last sort of 1 to 2 years, that had got lost, which is why the Carnivore Entrepreneur was born. And I'm finding that same enthusiasm with the Carnivore Entrepreneur. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it for what it gives me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, really good point. So the Carnivore Entrepreneur's pillars of true wealth is body, mind, bank account. And we go into those in a little bit of detail with every guest that comes on. And always, I believe that the foundation starts with the body. What daily habits keep your body energized while running, multiple companies, and also staying present at home with your family, because you're building a family at the moment as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty much every day right now, I start by going to the gym.
Excellent.
And so, yeah, it's 5 or 6 times a week, at least for me, if not 7 sometimes. And on the odd day, I might even go twice if I can. But generally speaking, I'd rather start the day with a nice solid exercise like that. And then I get out during the day as well, make sure I get at least 10,000 steps a day in.
Nice.
And of course, that's something you can do with your family. So it's a nice way of spending time with those guys whilst also having some, increasing your step count, getting more exercise, even if it is kind of less vigorous than what's going on at the gym.
How do you structure your workouts?
What's that, sorry?
How do you structure your workouts? Do you have like a routine that you follow?
Well, I generally go to at least 1 or 2 spin classes a week. I go to body pump. I like being in the classes because it definitely pushes you a bit further. It's, especially when there's others in there, I'm quite competitive. I'm not going to be the one that stops first. I have to be going harder and faster. So that's whereas if I'm out on the gym floor on a machine, it's harder to just keep going beyond, that kind of strain point, But otherwise, one of my favourite things lately is the Stairmaster. I don't know why I love it so much. I kind of hate it as well. But yeah, I'd try and walk up the Burj Khalifa. 148 flights, is it?
That's it. Yeah, 148 floors. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll try and do that. I'm doing that probably 4 or 5 times a week, and that's a really good way to warm up. Otherwise, yeah, it's just out on the weights. But I probably could be more structured. I probably would benefit from having a PT. I generally just go and do a round on all of the weights, quite honestly.
Okay, cool. So obviously that's your sort of physical routine. Are there any sort of rules around nutrition that you've had, or any tweaks that you've made to your nutrition to really boost your energy and your stamina?
So yeah, I generally don't eat all morning, if not all day. I'm just on black coffee.
Do a lot of fasting, do you?
Yeah, well, yeah, you could call it intermittent fasting. Obviously I drink a lot of water. I have creatine in the water in the morning, and then black coffee. And then I might, if I am peckish or I know I'm going to be in a meeting in the afternoon, then I'll have a couple of boiled eggs only, and that really helps. If I eat a big breakfast, then that's it. I'm kind of sluggish after that, and actually I get hungry within a couple of hours, and then I'm eating a big lunch, and then really I just want to go to bed. So. I think the hungry, if you're staying hungry, like physically, then you are mentally as well. So yeah, that definitely helps. I'm not super strict on myself with counting calories and measuring food and macros. I probably would have better results if I was, but I do like to strike the balance between, enjoying life as well as kind of getting the results that matter.
Do you know what? At the end of the day, as long as you're, in my mind, as long as you're eating as close to the ground as you possibly can. And what I mean by that is, eating whole foods 80 to 90% of the time, treating yourself every now and again. Like, it's not about being perfect, and counting calories, it is not necessary if you're eating whole foods, because your body should tell you. The problem with processed foods is your body gets confused as to, how many calories you've put in, because they're so muddled up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm a big one on that. I always look at packets, and not so much to look at the calories, but to look at the ingredients. And if there's ingredients I don't know how to pronounce, then that is a really good one. If you look at the ingredients and you find it difficult to pronounce, don't eat it. Generally speaking, that's a really good rule. Yeah. And yeah, you just think, if I was to make this at home, how long would it last? And if this thing has been built to sit on a shelf for weeks on end, then it's not going to be good for you, you know. And more recently, I've been really, and this one's a bit more difficult, but I've been trying to avoid anything with seed oils in it. And they don't always get described as seed oils. You know,
No.
often it will say rapeseed oil or sunflower oil, and can pretty much guarantee they're not using like the virgin oils, the good quality ones that you buy and use at home for your cooking. They're
Mm.
using the cheap, nasty ones. And you know, it is, if you look at the process they go through to develop this, it's amazing. They've even made it, you know, like safe for human consumption. It's cheap, nasty, industrial output, quite honestly, and it's put in so many foods, and it's actually really difficult to avoid it. So even if something doesn't have a lot of ingredients, if it's got oils in it, I will try and avoid it. And I
Yeah.
think that's really helped me, you know.
Yeah. Only 20% of the supermarket is now classed as whole foods.
Wow,
It's nuts. 20 to 25%, I think.
it's
And it's that
nuts.
first section, the first section with all the veg and the meats
Yeah,
and stuff. When you walk into a supermarket, that is where, all the fresh stuff is. And that is literally the only part of the supermarket because the minute you keep going further, it goes into all the alcohol and the breads and the
yeah,
pastas and the sauces,
yeah.
and the processed stuff. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I did have a spell reducing carbs, but actually, I think carbs are really important. But as long as they're whole grain carbs, so if we do get bread, but it's a weekend treat. So instead of boiled eggs, maybe at the weekend we'll have fried eggs on toast, but it's proper good quality
yeah,
wholemeal toast.
sourdough toast, low ingredient stuff, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it's going stale within a day. That's the stuff you want,
Yeah,
uh, and it's delicious, you know. So yeah, and then actually we love salmon, so we like eating salmon, and again, avoiding farmed salmon is very difficult. So any dish that you get that might have salmon in it, or if you eat salmon at any restaurant, it's going to be farmed salmon. So trying to get wild sockeye salmon, it is possible. There's maybe two supermarkets that do it. It's the two expensive ones, um, and but it's so much more delicious and it's so much more healthy. And
yeah,
but it's something that Tony Robbins talks about. Actually, you are what you ate, and it takes a minute to get your head around that. But essentially, yeah, if they're feeding the animals cheap, nasty crap, and then you're eating that animal, like you're by default getting a lot of the crap that they're being fed. So, and salmon is a big one for that. And this farm salmon, if you look into that, is pretty nasty. So yeah, we try and just be quite selective in what we're eating and where we're getting it from.
yeah. No, it's a good shout. And again, that's what having a healthy bank account can buy you, isn't it? The ability to choose much better produce and pay the little bit extra for your body.
Yeah, you're right. I remember I had some coaching students come to mine, and we had a coaching session for the day, and I took them out, and I think I was actually offering to cook for them for lunch, and just went to the supermarket together, and I was just grabbing whatever I wanted to grab, including organic ingredients.
Yeah,
And in the afternoon, he kind of confided in me and said, I aspire to get to that point where I can go into a supermarket and just grab things without looking at the price. And so that was a bit of a wake up for me, really. It's like big part of my day is about gratitude, and gratitude is something that it takes conscious effort to practice it,
yeah,
and we all can be guilty of taking things for granted and getting too familiar with things. But just that ability to be able to do that and go and get healthy ingredients without even thinking about the price,
yeah,
that makes it really worth it, you know, because this is why all these things all feed into each other. Getting your health in order means it's more likely you're going to get your head in order, which means
yeah,
it's more likely you're going to get your bank balance in order, which feeds straight back into the first part. It sustains the ability to have the space in your life to go to the gym, to be able to go to the supermarket and buy the healthy ingredients without having to be too concerned about the price. And of course, that just feeds into this nice positive loop then.
yeah. It can sometimes, as an entrepreneur, definitely be like, oh, I need this, I need that. I'm going after this, I'm going after that, and you actually forget some of the things that you've achieved And just simple things like going into a supermarket and being able to grab off the shelf without looking at a price. And my mate says it to me all the time. He was like, do you know how much that is? And I'm like, no. I just go grab and pay. And, you know, I think, but also it allows you that mind space as well. So you've got to be grateful that you can do it, but also grateful that you've then got that mind space. So you don't have to be thinking about things like the price of bread or salmon or meat, you know?
That's right. Yeah, it is. Look, it takes effort, and it is hard work to become successful, but anyone can do it. You know, there's someone that I know who, you know, he himself says, "Oh, I'm not the brightest spark. I'm not that intelligent." I'm like, "No, you're very intelligent. You might not be very well educated, didn't do very well in school, but you're very intelligent because you're wise enough to take action, you know, and to make the effort." And I think, you know, that effort is absolutely worth it, because yes, it is hard, but so is being poor and unhappy and constantly having to worry about, can you afford to put enough food on the table, or, you know, being able to afford the ingredients you want so that you can be healthy. That's also very hard. So everything's hard. You just got to choose the hard that you want.
Yeah, make the hard decision now so that your life is easy, rather than making the easy decision now and make your life hard, right?
Yeah, that's what they say. But I think growth is about getting bigger challenges. Your reward for overcoming challenges is bigger challenges, and actually having that mindset, having the mindset of like, I'm going to overcome these challenges, and now I'm facing even bigger challenges. Good, thank you. You know, thank God for these challenges I've got, because challenges really are there to teach you what you need for what is yet to come.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to overcome these challenges. You've got to have that mindset of just growth and pushing through and moving quick and taking action and doing the hard thing and facing these things head on, instead of avoiding them and trying to go for the easy life now. And yes, it gives you more luxury, more comfort, more space. And some would say, yeah, that is an easier life. And of course, for me, it is worth the effort. And yeah, I do understand what you mean by that easier life. You know, you definitely can have a lot more space in your life, and your ability to overcome challenges becomes easier as well. You know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that nicely leads us into the second pillar, which is the mind, right? Now, I know that you do ice baths. I do ice baths as well. Be interesting to know from your perspective. We can talk about, you know, we could have talked about the physical benefits of ice baths, which, you know, reducing inflammation, all that sort of stuff. But I actually find that ice baths have a real profound impact on your mind. What do they do for you?
Well, it's interesting because it's something I wanted to get into for quite a while, and so did my friend. And it was during the COVID time. I was going through a difficult patch. I was going through a divorce, and my friend was going through a difficult time as well. And we said, right, come on, let's just do it. And actually, unlike you with a professional setup, we just got a chest freezer.
Yeah, nice. Chuck some ice in it.
Well, yeah, well, you don't need to, because
you just turn it on, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, you just silicone the edges and fill it up with water and turn it on. And actually, it gets really cold. You have to kind of be quite careful as to how long you leave it on, else the whole thing will just into one solid ice block. But if you put a load of salt in there with it, you can get it down to like 0.5 degrees. So really, really cold. And we got into it together, and we were doing it 3 or 4 times a week. And it's just fantastic, the resiliency you get from getting in that water. And it was nice doing it with a friend as well, because there was a bit of competition. We started by saying it's got to be 2 minutes minimum. It's not worth it if you're going to get in for less than 2 minutes. And actually, the first minute is incredibly difficult. And once you're beyond there and you've got control of your breathing, actually, once you get to 2 minutes, it's almost like, well, I don't want to shortchange myself. I don't want to get out too early. So we were like going up and up and up. And then we got to 5 minutes, and then 7 minutes, and then it got a bit silly. And I mean, I wouldn't recommend it actually. I remember the time I did 11 minutes. And, Yeah, after that you start getting a bit warm, and that's the early onset of hypothermia. So
Hypothermia.
that's the warning sign. You know, there's people that have died in the ice out in the Arctic and that, and they've taken off all their clothes because they get so hot, and that's actually hypothermia. So that's not good. But but you know, going to that point, and I remember thinking this is probably beyond healthy now because I'd get in the sauna afterwards, and I got to the point where I was sweating, but I was still shivering.
Yeah. That means your core is
My core
ice.
was very cold. Yeah, absolutely. But you know, so 5 minutes for me is the
Yeah.
perfect place. You know, you're definitely not shortchanging yourself. You're going beyond what's comfortable to the point where it gets comfortable, and I think just that in itself is a lesson, right? But then I'd find if you whether you start your day with it or whatever, once you've done that, it's such a short burst of intense stress that actually nothing touches you after that.
No.
Things that are normally stressful, or
Yeah.
team members coming to you with this thing that's like, you know, what do I do? I'm so stressed. It's like it just bounces off you like water. You're just like, this is easy. I've just sat in that ice for 5 minutes. You think this is hard?
Yeah.
So I think it just gives you the mental resiliency that you need to then just overcome anything. And this idea of taking action and doing what we need to do and facing challenges head on, when you've got into that cold water and you've forced yourself just to sit there through that first minute and then carry on, then that just gives you something that then means attacking your challenges head on becomes very easy. So there is a lot of mental benefit. I'd say, you know, of course I love it for the physical
More
benefit.
mental than physical.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
100%. I totally agree with you on that. Cool. I
Mm.
did want to talk about that, so I'm glad we brought that up. So how have peer groups like Property Entrepreneur or any other peer groups that you've been part of, how has that helped sharpen your thinking and decision making?
Yeah, good question. So obviously we've all heard, well, a lot of people have heard that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Absolutely.
And, you know, that's absolutely true. But then actually you're getting something from the 50 people you spend the most time with as well. And even if you're all meeting up just once a month, but you're in the same WhatsApp groups and you're seeing other people's challenges and contributing to them, helping them, getting to know each other. And I think that's one of the main benefits I've found of being part of a community for more than just a year is that you really start to get to know people and their challenges, and you help them, and then their ability to help you is strengthened as well. But you see that actually everyone is to a certain level suffering. You know, everyone's got a veneer on social media of what they want to portray as the truth and reality. But the real reality is at a certain level, everyone's got things in their life that, you know, is creating, is ultimately a source of suffering. And people need help, even if they're not necessarily willing to ask for it. And I think seeing that and being part of it and genuinely wanting to be a good person and help people, but then allowing other people to help me and asking for help when you've built that trust as part of a community, that is really, really powerful. And I think, well, yeah, there is no way I'd be where I am if I'd been trying to just do it solo. And I think, and ultimately as well, that it's a lesson in getting out the way of your ego. I think I've seen other people where I've tried to maybe offer them help, or even not necessarily getting help from me, but hey, you should find something similar to this and go and join. And I can see it's ego that stops them. It's like, no, I'll find my own way. I'll do it. You know, it's better that I learn the lessons myself. It's like, well, yeah, you could spend 5 years wasting time to learn a lesson, or go and join a group and learn in 5 minutes what you would have taken 5 years to discover. You know,
Yeah.
and ultimately, you know, I'm 42 now. I'd like to be retired in 10 years. I'd like to not work every single day during those 10 years. So it's to break it down into hours. Let's say, you know, working 200 days a year, 10 hours a day, that's 2,000 hours. In 10 years, I've got 20,000 hours left. Do I really want to spend 5 years learning a lesson that someone else can teach me in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
No. And so the power of community and contributing to other people's success and allowing other people to contribute towards your success means that, you know, that outcome that you want is much more likely.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned something there about wanting to retire in the next 10 years. That again moves us nicely on to the bank account side of things. What's your wealth strategy at the moment? Obviously, you've got a number of businesses, number of investments. Obviously, we've got business partnership as well. What's
Yeah.
your strategy for the next 10 years to get your bank account to where it needs to be?
So I'm probably a bit too risk on, and I always have been, and so
Oh, really?
allowed. Well, I
Some
don't
are.
know. I think too many people are risk averse, and certainly, look, you'll never get to financial freedom through saving. You're not going to save your way to success. So I'm probably not as quite as frugal as I should be, and also I used to always think about like living for the ultimate retirement, but there's no guarantee we're going to get there, and so you need to live for now. And so I'm not super fussy about how I'm spending my money. I'm not counting every bean and looking to save everywhere I could. And that's possibly cost me over the years, but also it's meant I have enjoyed life a lot more.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think you do need to speculate to accumulate, and ultimately it starts with cash flow. So obviously having a property management company is very much a cash flow strategy, and that there allows me to start paying the bills, putting food on the table, but ultimately buying back my time, because the cash flow, as it increases, allows you to put team members in place to take over things that you were doing yourself. So then you've got space and time to work on bigger plays. For example, my software company, Guestflow,
Yeah.
we are going to build that into a global success. It's for short-term rental agents that want to really enhance the guest experience and streamline operations. But our ability to kind of provide value to businesses around the world has come from the fact that I had space to be able to focus on building that and finding the best co-founders to work with. And that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't sorted out my cash flow first. So it's cash flow first, and then it's your profit plays. And for me, the other profit play, and I guess you could call it an asset play, it's investments. Not so much in real estate, which makes me a bit unusual compared to most people in, our peer group. For
Yeah.
me, I'm more into digital assets. I think, we're in a digital world. So Bitcoin, but also for me, I think part of my strategy moving forwards is companies that are investing in Bitcoin. So if I'm investing in a company that's got what they call accretive dilution, so essentially as a shareholder, if you were to measure the amount of Bitcoin these companies have per share, if that's going up, that's a good investment if you believe in Bitcoin, that is.
Yeah.
And for me, Bitcoin's got a binary outcome. It might go to zero or it will succeed. And success means in 10 years from now, I wouldn't be surprised to see each Bitcoin being worth north of 10 million. So if I'm buying shares in a company that is adding Bitcoin, then I see that as potentially a good investment. If I can do that through a tax-free wrapper like an ISA, which you can't do by buying Bitcoin yourself, then that for me is a nice strategy to have. But it's a long-term play. I'm not here to try and make a quick buck. That's ultimately it doesn't work. It's how you have short-term success pushing for a quick buck. So business is a great way to get the cash flow, and then other businesses can be a great way to create space in your life and then have excess cash flow, excess profit, and of course then you need to invest that wisely. And the trap that a lot of people fall into is, so although I've said I'm not super frugal, I am careful to just sustain, and this is why gratitude is so important, because you can say, well, I am actually super grateful for my standard of living and how things are. The trap that people can fall into is as they earn more and their businesses become more successful, they just keep increasing their standard of living and spending more and more. And of course, that means retirement becomes even more difficult unless you plan to suddenly massively decrease your standard of living for retirement. But what kind of retirement would that be? So actually, got very used to a reasonable standard of living, and then you say, right, well, this is what it costs, and if I get my investments to a place where they can easily cover that, well, now you've got true financial independence, right, which is a great place to be. So So yeah, it's about balancing and balancing the now for later, and balancing the cash flow for profit, and the time for investing, and then balancing your investments as well. Of course, I'm not all in on Bitcoin. That would be crazy, because it failing and going to zero is still a potential outcome. And I've said that for quite a long time. And actually, the one thing I will say on that is every day that goes by that it's not worth zero, I think means it's less likely that is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
outcome.
yeah,
Especially now we've got nation states buying in, we've got major corporations from around the world like embracing a Bitcoin treasury strategy. For me, it's a no brainer. Whereas real estate, yes, I know a lot of people are very into it, and I know it can definitely create financial freedom, but leverage is generally required. It's a pretty safe form of leverage, but it is leverage nonetheless. And leverage, my experience with leverage is not good. I'd rather avoid it. I'd rather not have any debt. And we are you're subject to things that are outside of your control, like the world economy, interest rates, and we're in a very fast-moving world, especially with AI coming in. It's going to start replacing a lot of jobs. I think having real estate is better than not having anything. But for me, I'm looking for alternative investments that doesn't need any form of leverage whatsoever.
yeah, and stay diversified as well, which is
Absolutely.
a great way to approach it. So, thanks for
Yeah.
that. We got a couple minutes left before we got to drop off, but quick fire questions, and then we'll wrap up. What's your favourite book?
Oh, there's a few. So I'm going to go with one that most listeners probably haven't heard of. It's a relatively quick, easy read, and it's called Life in Half a Second.
Okay.
And it really is about getting your head in order and seeing the urgency in getting clear on what your goals are, what the ultimate goals are, and then what are the things you're going to achieve the ultimate goal, and then what's
Yeah.
the things under that you need to achieve those, and what are you going to start working on right now as a result. And when you put your life in context of the solar system and the life of planet Earth and all the life on planet Earth, we're here very quickly. We don't have
Yeah.
long. I've just said I've got 20,000 hours left. So, I need to make sure I'm working on the things that are going to get me where I really want to go.
Yeah.
And so that book, Life in Half a Second, is really good. I don't know anyone who's read it and come back to me and said, yeah, it was a bit basic. They've said, oh my God, it's really sharpened my focus. So yeah, it's a good one.
Perfect. And lastly, how do you want to be remembered?
So yeah, I think as a good person, ultimately, I want to be remembered as, genuinely contributing, adding value, having integrity, being honest. That for me is everything.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Nice, sweet, simple. And then last but not least, just to finish up, if people want to get hold of you, where can listeners and viewers find you to connect with you or your business?
GrahamLindley.com. So that
Oh, wow,
is my
nice. You got a personal page. Perfect.
Yeah, that's my personal page. It's got all my businesses on there. It's got a link to
Great.
contact me on LinkedIn, my socials. It's got you can connect to me on WhatsApp through there as well.
So there you go. Nice and simple, people. GrahamLindley.com. It'll be in the description. Thank you, Graham, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you on. Any one last thought you'd like to give our listeners before we finish up?
Just take action, guys. You've got to move quickly. Stop trying to plan for things that aren't even problems yet. There is a bit of something very special with naivety. Naivety is fantastic. You don't know what you don't know, and that's good. And if you knew all of the challenges you're going to have, you wouldn't do anything. So just start taking action and be ready to hit things head on. And you can do that by having a strong mind, and you have a strong mind by having a strong body. So get down the gym. And finally, even if you don't feel like going to the gym, just go to the gym anyway. And
Get
even
to
if
the
it's
fucking
just
gym.
even if it's just to sit in the sauna. Honestly, if you're not going to, even if you just
Show up.
go, just show up, get in the sauna for 10 minutes. The next day you can go and you say, well, actually, I'm going to get on the gym floor and then have a sauna. So just start taking action, move quickly. Come on.
Excellent. And on that note, take action, people. That is the end of this episode of the Carnivore Entrepreneur Show. Take care, people. Thank you, Graham.
Thank you. Cheers.
If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. You are a carnivore entrepreneur. Live life how it was supposed to be lived on your terms with strength, energy, and purpose. I'll see you on the next episode.